Predictable success stems from predictable systems and predictable shepherds. Or if you're not in the ministry world, I believe predictable success stems from predictable systems and predictable leaders. Predictability is highly underrated in the world today. When I deal with people who are leaders or possibly going to become leaders and I get to know them and we do life together, I tend to find people who are more anxious, people who really struggle with the unknown. They typically had an unpredictable childhood. As leaders, we need to give the gift of predictability. Being predictable means people can start to finish your sentences. I remember last year, it really was confronting to me. I saw last year, it was really popular on Instagram. There was a trend. You go to people in your church and you would start a line that your pastor typically says, and you would see if people would finish the line. And I got to thinking, do I have phrases? I rhyme a lot, but do I have predictable? I say this week in and week out. It's really important. You need to be predictable as a leader. I've been on that journey myself, and a huge part of being a predictable leader is knowing your instincts. When we started our church 10 years ago, I knew a lot of my leadership instinctually. There were certain things I always liked. There were certain things I always didn't like. And being predictable means you move from instinctual leadership to intentional leadership, meaning you start to name those things and you write them down so people who are following you, they know how you will respond to situations. They know how you will respond to behaviors. One key thing for us as a church, for us to be predictable, I have my directors, we say this every week, there are 3 behaviors we will always address, team-wide, but also those who are, under you in your team. Man, these certain things, we just don't do this. And so we address it. This doesn't mean we slap them on the wrist. This doesn't mean we are mean about it, but we just address it. We have 3 behaviors that we always reward. Why? We want to be predictable. We want people to know, here's how this culture moves. Here's what this culture isn't. For example, for us, one thing that's predictable about Passion Creek as an organization is that we never cut corners. So when we see somebody cutting corners, we address it right away. I don't sit and stew. I don't think about it, bring it up to them a week later. Hey, I didn't like how you skipped this part of the setup. We are a portable church, so we can't cut corners. We need people to have the same experience week in and week out when it comes to the atmosphere. What I loved, just as an example, because we don't cut corners, we had a Viking feast last week, and everything went crazy. The rental came in late. We didn't have access that we thought we would. We were an hour behind schedule, and yet my team, I didn't have to say anything. My team, 2 minutes before we started, was still putting up lights. Why? Because we don't cut corners. We said we were going to string lights around, and so we're going to work as hard as we can because we believe in excellence. That goes from instinctual. 10 years ago, I would have hoped somebody would have cared, to intentional. We all care because we name that thing out loud. Another behavior we address is side meetings. That's gossip. We hit that right away. Why? We're predictable. If you ever gossip, it's going to be confronted. Are you a predictable leader? Are you shifting? You need to write this down. It doesn't happen in a day. What are your instincts when you lead? What are things that you always love to do, always hate to do? And how do you translate that on paper? One way that I would love for my church, I want to become the type of leader when a problem comes, I want them to know how I'd respond. Through my value system, through my beliefs, through my repeated behaviors. In theory, my staff will know. I'm going to ask him anyways, but I already know what he's going to say. You need to be a predictable leader. It reduces the anxiety in the room. It gives people confidence to lead. It also helps you. It's clarity is kindness. It helps you know, should you be on this team or not on this team? Right? If you're going to predictably always respond to these situations, you need to figure out, do you want to join on this team? Because we're always going to address these behaviors. And if you disagree, man, let's have those conversations. So name what you reward. Name what you address. We're having a Dream Team Gala this weekend. And I'm trying to be predictable. I'm trying to say the 5 leader values that we always believe in, that we always do, that we always reward at our church. And so every year we have these trophies And there's 10 different trophies of the 10 different things I want my people to know all the time. So this year, we're honoring somebody who never stops learning, right? And all of the other values. Are you predictable? I think that stat says, like, man, somebody hears you say something 10 times and it finally registers once, they remember it. I know for me, that's my biggest problem is I love being creative. I think leaders are repeaters. I don't like to repeat. I'd rather find a new flair. I'd rather find a new way to say it. But to be a true gift to your people, you have to become predictable. This doesn't mean you don't change. In fact, usually because you are predictable, people will sense when you need to make a move, when you need to make a change because it aligns with your values. When we changed location, people understood why. It was predictable in the sense of, okay, good. He believes in these things. We need to be growing. We need to be moving forward momentum. So predictable doesn't mean that you're static, but you should always, your team should always know who you are, what you'll say, and that takes time. New staff members won't know this, but that's why you need to write it down so they can know it quicker. Are you predictable? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. This is a playlist called Entrepreneur. Hopefully it helps give you some leadership tips that I have noticed in my last 10 years of leading a church. And maybe you're a pastor, this could be helpful as well, but maybe you're a business owner, business leader. The two main ways I make content on my channel are documentaries, vlogging my life as a leader, and then Entrepreneur, kind of processing different leadership lessons I'm learning along the way. Thank you for making it all the way to the end. I think you should watch this next video, but YouTube says you should watch this next video.